These mock drafts are starting to get crazier and crazier. I got another one for you today that's off the chain. This one's from Lance Zierlein. He had another one a few weeks ago that we covered on the channel. But we like to look at these crazy ones because it just gives us an idea of what some of these landing spots could look like if some of these players just go to an odd situation or just something strange happens in the draft. We cover all the basic ones as well too. So an oddball draft here and there doesn't really affect things. We look at this as a dynasty lens, not as a mock draft lens. So once we're done covering this draft, we'll rank these players with their landing spots and just talk ball on them. But let's go ahead and cover this mock draft, this 3.0 from Lance Zierlein here. And we're going to fly through this one real quick here. So Carolina Panthers draft Bryce Young. So they moved up to the 101 pick, took their guy. Bryce Young going here is not going to change his dynasty value whatsoever. Panthers are smoothing out the transition, getting some veteran jabronis in there. They got Miles Sanders. They're trying to smooth things. They're getting prepared for this. So at least you know you got a college try with this team. And Young's going to be a very expensive asset for a young quarterback soon. Moving down here, and Texans do not select quarterback. They skip it. They fade it. So you know this draft's going to be different. Coming on down here. Moving on down. Boom. Ravens traded with the Colts. Lamar Jackson is now in Indy. And they step up to the 104 and draft C.J. Stroud, which is very fascinating. So in this realm of reality, we're pretending this is real. C.J. Stroud, Rashad Bateman, we like. C.J. Stroud in this offense with his run game should allow him to transition. So I really like C.J. Stroud on the Ravens. Do I believe it's going to happen? I don't think so, but we're playing alternate reality here for dynasty value. So it is what it is. Now the Texans, with their next pick, they draft Will Levis. Usually it's quarterback with their first pick, wide receiver with their second pick. At least we got something different here. One thing I would guess, or I would think of doing here if I were them, was just loading up at the positions and really just going quarterback next year and just overhauling the team. You got a lot of building to do. You got a lot to do here. That's one thing you can do. Will Levis, though, you got a quarterback a little bit cheaper. So the risk there is a little bit less, but it's still kind of high at 7 overall. Will Levis here, you're going to expect him to develop with this team. His team's got to develop. His offense got to develop. Coaching staff got to develop. He's got to develop. You're going to have to expect some time. So when you invest in Will Levis, you're going to have to wait a little bit for this all to click. Hopefully, the sunk cost allows them to wait. Maybe they move on. Who knows? But it's going to be sticky. Moving down here in this draft to the next pick, number 11 overall, Jackson Smith-Njigba. A lot of people are not going to like this landing spot, but eventually they're going to have to move on from Derrick Henry. Eventually this offense has to retool. They got 2 first-round wide receivers, Treylon Burks and Jackson Smith-Njigba. They're both very different, so they'll complement each other. This could build together. Jackson Smith-Njigba is a good talent. Honestly, it should not sway you. If anything, at least allows you to get him at a discount. Moving down to our next pick here in this here draft, Anthony Richardson to the Patriots. Another crazy destination. And you know they're trying to get them clicks. But Mac Jones might be on the outs, or there's a lot of rumors. Maybe they go Anthony Richardson. Remember, he's going to have some time to develop. They're going to wait on that. But the rushing upside, the big play upside's there. But the downside is catastrophic as well. You're going to have to wait, though. You're going to have to wait a couple bits. You're going to have to wait some years, maybe. But you got to be patient. But the upside is what you're buying for. And you're already baking in that risk. I hope you are. Dalton Kincaid to the Packers. But this ain't your grandpa's Packers. Aaron Rodgers, more than likely on the move. And if he's not going to be there forever. But since he's going to the Packers in this situation, usually the dynasty value goes up a bit. There's like a little premium there. You're going to pay that Packer premium. You know what? You're going to spend a second rounder on him probably. So you're going to have to watch that price and where the other running backs go in the draft. Going on down here to the next pick of this draft that we're going to be drafting in Dynasty Fantasy Football, Michael Mayer to the Lions. We've had some mock drafts with this. Lions fans have chimed in saying that's not going to happen in the comment section. We've had that in a few drafts. I don't make these drafts. Some people comment like I'm making these drafts. I'm not making these drafts. Lance Zierlein made this. I have to say this because I get some comments and people say, hey, and I'm not doing these. I'm not writing for all these outlets and making these mock drafts and then covering on them here. These are not my drafts. But what I'll say here for fantasy-wise, the ball's got to float around a bit here. Not all the targets. I think he's going to eventually transition, though. I think this will be a good spot. I think this is a good time to catch him cheaper later, maybe next year or so, that on that transition process. If you like him, I do not suggest paying up for him this year. I suggest getting him next year, year after, and trade when things are on the downs. And if it's not on the downs, it's okay to pay up for that tight end because you're knowing what you're going to get, what you're paying for, and it's not going to be much more than what you're going to be paying now. Some people are still paying first-round rookie picks for Michael Mayer. So really, really just gauge the value. Here we go, Jalen Hyatt to the Chargers. Very optimal landing spot. I think he's more suited for the NFL than he is for fantasy, but that deep threat with a yellow balling quarterback really suits to his skill set. Really understand that you're really playing the air yards from a week-to-week basis on this player, so understand what you're getting here. Next is Zay Flowers to the Ravens, so him and C.J. Stroud and Rashad Bateman. That is a fun matchup. Zay Flowers, I think, can do well in this offense. May not be a wide receiver one in fantasy, but can give you some production. And then we got Bijan to the Bills. Had this in a lot of mock drafts. Top player in Dynasty, rookie drafts, one of the top players in all over Dynasty. This is just going to add fuel to the fire. Moving down to the next one. We only got a few more to go. Only a few more here. Quentin Johnston to the Cowboys. This is going to be a fun one because you're going to be able to catch him at a discount like the year after. A lot of mouths to feed here. We got Brandon Cooks, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup. Quentin Johnston adds a little bit of something different here. In this situation, you'll be able to buy him on the cheap 6, 8, 10, 12 months from now. So if you want him, I don't suggest paying up for him. You can catch him on the cheap in rookie drafts, go ahead. But there's going to be a time when you're going to catch him at a discount. Maybe like 10, 20, 30% discount from what you're paying now. Moving down here, Luke Musgrave to the Bengals. Luke Musgrave, balled out at the Senior Bowl. Good athleticism. Good downfield threat. Has good tape. Good situation here with some volume. This could allow him to be fantasy relevant. It could allow him to be a producer. Again, with these tight ends, you want to watch the tea leaves on their value and catch them at a discount later. Moving down to the next guy. This should be our last one here at 31. Cedric Tillman. And we all know the Chiefs always do that rando pick at the end of drafts. Trying to shore up this offense. Trying to get them weapons. Cedric Tillman, though, like he mentioned in this thing here, 2021 is what you want to look at. You do want to look at them ball skills. He gives this team a little bit something different. Decent prospect. Not over the top prospect. He's not over the moon. But he is a guy that you look at that could surprise us. And I expect his value to shoot up the board here. I don't expect him to go in the first round. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes somewhere in the second, maybe early third. But I wouldn't be really surprised if the Chiefs made a crazy rando pick either. It's not like they haven't before. Cedric Tillman's value to go up. And there's a chance that he could give you some fantasy production here because any player going to Chiefs can. Wouldn't look at this as a Clyde Edwards-Helaire situation. Mainly because he was producing before his last year of college and then he got hurt. He would have had back-to-back big seasons if he didn't get hurt last year. I think more people would be on his radar if he didn't get hurt last year. I just don't look at him as a huge prospect. He's an older wide receiver prospect as well. I look at him as a good prospect. Prospect to keep your eye on, but not a prospect to be over the moon on, if that kind of makes sense. Kind of like one of those guys that are just hovering there and you're just taking at value. Let's go here. Look at the tier maker and let's rank these guys up. And the first player that's getting ranked here, Bijan Robinson, S tier. Not moving. He's not moving. He's staying there. And we all know why, because we've waited this long for him. His value is RB1 in Dynasty already. And it's not moving. It's only getting accelerated with the Bills. Then, tier A. We're just going CJ Stroud and Bryce Young. And this is for Superflex. Superflex value. I think both those guys are in good situations. Both of those guys are the top quarterbacks. But Bruce, what about Anthony Richardson's upside? We're going to be conservative, and we're just going to throw him at the top of Tier B because the upside's grand, but the downside is still catastrophic. He also went 14 overall and wasn't not like a top 5 guy, top 10 guy in this draft. That indicates some guys faded him in this draft, teams. So that's something you want to pay attention to as well. And he's a developmental prospect still, but you also want to recognize the upside. That being said, Jack Smith-Njigba, Zay Flowers are the top wide receivers who came out of this first round. I think him and C.J. Stroud's a good mesh right there, along with Rashad Bateman. This is going to be a transitioning offense in a couple years. Jack Smith-Njigba is a guy that you really want to be patient with. I think this is a guy that's going to develop into the league pretty well. Will Levis, super flex value. Hate the landing spot. Don't think it goes well with his skill set. And I think there's going to be a time of development if he does hit. So you can probably catch him on the cheap later. Maybe. And then Tier C, Quentin Johnston. You know what? He's here. I'm just going to throw him here off the rip. And you know what? He's also top of Tier C as well. But I really want this kind of separated. But Quentin Johnston going to the Cowboys is not a bad situation. You're probably going to have to wait a little bit. You're going to have to wait for some of the dust to settle. And you might be able to catch him at Tier C, Tier D prices. So really, he's back at Tier B. But you're shooting for Tier C prices. And the Cedric Tillman's price went up dramatically, going to the Chiefs. But you know what? Talent-wise, is not too far off, but he's not really considered a top guy either. He's not a guy that's a must-get. He's not that type of talent. But that 2021 season, things were starting to unfold for him. I think a lot of people would be a little bit higher on him if he had a full 2022 season. He's physical. He's good at the catch point. He can break off routes a little bit. Really wants him to create more separation. Really want him to be like quicker off the step. But he is what he is, and if he gets just some fuel for his fire, then you might be able to get something for fantasy. Jalen Hyatt, good DFS play with the Chargers, going to catch a lot of upside here, and the air yards are going to be flowing his way. However, you really want to watch his value in rookie drafts because it could spike on you and just be too much. All the tight ends in D. All the tight ends in D, you're just going to watch their value. You're going to watch them in rookie drafts. You're going to take the cheapest one. Probably should be Kincaid in this situation, but you're not going to know. But watch their values, take the cheapest ones, and the ones that you really, really want, buy them next year. And even if they do really well during their rookie season or second season, just pay that premium because now you know what you're getting. You don't know what you're going to get with these rookie tight ends, especially with a deep running back class that you're going to have running backs leaking into the early, mid, late, third rounds. That's going to have some talent that you want. And then also this is a deep tight end class where you don't have to pull the trigger early as well. You can catch a Sam Laporta later or one of those other guys with an 80 to 90 percentile speed score and just take that gamble. But right now, the rankings here with this crazy mock draft, pretty set in stone. We got the receivers kind of separated out, quarterbacks dished out, and then Bijan Robinson carried the load. Let me know in the comments below who you're looking forward to drafting in your rookie drafts. Smash that subscribe button. It's only going to help you build your dynasty teams. I want to thank you for watching. I'll catch you on the next video.